It started as an ordinary day for Marcus, a hard-working black entrepreneur on his way to finalize a business deal. Dressed sharply and armed with confidence, he walked into a local bank to open an account. But what happened next left him stunned. From the moment he stepped up to the counter, the cold stares and dismissive tone were undeniable. The bankers found excuses to deny him service, questioning his legitimacy and even his identity. Frustrated but determined, Marcus calmly insisted they check his credentials. What the bankers didn't realize was that Marcus wasn't just any customer. He was about to reveal something that would leave them scrambling with regret. As tensions rise and the truth comes to light, this story takes an unexpected turn that leaves everyone in the room speechless. Stay tuned to see how one man's resilience shatters stereotypes and exposes a hard truth. Marcus stood firm, his calm demeanor masking the storm of emotions brewing inside. The manager, a middle-aged man with a smug expression, glanced at Marcus's documents and shook his head. "Sorry, we can't process this." "Something about it doesn't sit right," he said dismissively. The other staff exchanged knowing looks, whispering under their breath, as though Marcus didn't deserve to be there. Marcus kept his cool. "Everything you need is in those papers," he replied, his voice steady but firm. "All I'm asking is to be treated fairly." But their skepticism only grew. The manager leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. "Where exactly did you say you worked again?" he asked, his tone dripping with doubt. As the silence grew heavier, Marcus decided it was time. "You want to know the truth," he said, reaching for his phone. The room fell silent, and all eyes were on him. Marcus unlocked his phone and scrolled through his contacts, the quiet clicking of his fingers breaking the tension in the room. The manager's smirk faltered, but he tried to maintain his air of superiority. "Look, if you're not prepared to follow our procedures, there's nothing more we can do for you," he said, trying to sound authoritative but coming off defensive. Ignoring the comment, Marcus made a quick call. "Hey, can you bring over the file?" "I'm at the bank right now," he said calmly before hanging up. His confidence was unshakable, leaving the bankers glancing nervously at one another. Meanwhile, a young teller, who had been silently observing from the corner, shifted uncomfortably. She seemed torn, as if questioning the way things were unfolding. Was this how people were supposed to be treated? Minutes later, the bank doors opened, and a well-dressed woman walked in, holding a briefcase. "Here's what you asked for, Marcus," she said with a knowing smile. The room froze as everyone realized this wasn't going to end the way they had assumed. The manager's confidence started to waver as the woman placed the briefcase on the counter and opened it. Inside were neatly organized documents, each one bearing official seals and signatures. Marcus took one of the papers and handed it directly to the manager. "Here's everything you need to verify who I am and the legitimacy of my business," he said, his voice calm but commanding. The manager hesitated, flipping through the papers with growing unease. His eyes darted across the fine print, then to Marcus, then back to the documents. This can't be right," he muttered, though it was clear he was starting to doubt his own assumptions. The young teller from earlier stepped forward cautiously. "Maybe we should just process his request," she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. But the manager wasn't ready to back down. "Let me make a call," he said sharply, picking up the phone. The room grew quieter still, the tension so thick it was almost suffocating. Marcus stood tall, watching, waiting, as everyone in the bank braced for what was coming next. As the manager dialed a number, his hand shook slightly, though he tried to hide it. The call connected, and he spoke in a hushed tone, clearly trying to validate something on the other end. Meanwhile, the tension in the room grew unbearable. Marcus exchanged a quick glance with the woman who had brought the briefcase, her confident expression revealing she knew exactly where this was heading. Just then, the young teller who had been observing everything stepped closer, her curiosity getting the better of her. "Sir," she said cautiously, addressing Marcus, "what exactly is your business? I mean, what do you do?" Marcus turned to her and gave a faint smile. "I own a consulting firm that works with financial institutions," he said, his words deliberate, "including this one." The manager's conversation on the phone came to an abrupt halt. His face paled as he looked at Marcus, a realization dawning that no one else in the room had caught on to yet. The air crackled with a new kind of tension. Everyone was waiting for what would happen next, but Marcus had yet to reveal the full weight of the truth. The manager slowly hung up the phone, his face now a mask of disbelief. "Mr. Carter," he said, his voice shaky, "I wasn't aware you were affiliated with us." The entire room went silent. Marcus folded his arms and fixed his gaze on the manager. "Not just affiliated. My firm oversees compliance and diversity audits for your branch. I came here today as a client, but it looks like I've uncovered a much bigger problem," he said, his voice calm but firm. The staff's eyes widened as the weight of his words sank in. The young teller looked stunned, a mix of admiration and guilt flickering across her face. As Marcus continued, the twist left everyone speechless. "And for the record, today wasn't just about me. I've been investigating multiple reports of discrimination at this location," he said, pulling out another file from the briefcase. "You're not just dealing with me, you're facing a formal review." The room erupted into chaos, with the staff scrambling to explain themselves. But Marcus raised a hand, silencing them. "Don't worry," he said with a pointed look at the manager. "I'll make sure the truth comes out." With that, he turned and walked out, leaving the weight of accountability behind him. As Marcus stepped outside into the crisp air, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. Justice wasn't always swift, but today it had made itself known. Inside the bank, the staff was left reeling, their once confident demeanor replaced with a mix of panic and regret. The young teller, still stunned, silently promised herself to do better moving forward, realizing how easily silence could become complicity. For Marcus, this wasn't just about one moment or one bank. It was about standing up against the quiet prejudices that still lingered in places where fairness should reign. He walked away, not with anger, but with purpose. His resilience and determination had exposed a broken system, and he knew this was only the beginning of meaningful change. As the doors of the bank closed behind him, Marcus couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the truth wasn't just revealed, it shattered walls and opened doors for others to walk through.